Well, our foreign editor has been very busy and she's here with us in studio to unpack what the AU summit will entail. Ms. Sophie Mokoena, a very good afternoon to you. Welcome to PM News.
Afternoon, Alicia.
Sophie, what's going to be high on the agenda of this year's AU summit?
Well, of course, you are aware that the theme of the summit speaks to issues of empowerment of women. But of course, there are challenges in the continent, and obvious those issues will be high on the agenda. You look at issues such as peace and security, the instability in the continent. You look at countries such as Burundi, you look at countries such as CAR, you look at countries such as the DRC. Of course, issues of peace and security will feature high on the agenda. And then the infrastructure, you are aware that the AU took a decision to ensure that we improve our infrastructure in the continent, particularly issues of transport. You are aware that transport is the lifeblood of commerce. Therefore, if we really want to be counted as a progressive continent in terms of economic development, we will definitely have to improve the infrastructure and connectivity. You are aware that when you want to fly to a particular country at times in the continent, you have to via Europe, which is quite a long distance, but also it's embarrassing. Why can't Africa have its own airlines and fly direct from one country to the other as part of the development in the continent? Issues of health, the Ebola, even though we have managed to deal with the crisis of Ebola, but how do we ensure that in future this doesn't happen? The issues of education, how do we improve education? For us to be a better continent, a better people, we must really take serious education so that people are skilled and therefore they are able to get jobs. Job creation, the issues of the youth. In future, you'll find that in this continent, most of the population, it will be young people, and therefore we must make sure that there are programs that address the needs of the young people so that they are not vulnerable to acts that can lead to instability in the continent.
Sophie, look, who'll be attending? Is it true that some African leaders have said they will boycott the summit due to the recent xenophobic attacks?
Well, of course, those are rumors. They still have to be substantiated. But we spoke to the deputy chair of the commission who told us that there is no such a thing, and they are expecting many heads of states, and those countries where heads of state and government are not able to attend, they will send a representative. Therefore, it will be business as usual. You are aware that even when you have the summit in Addis normally, not everybody is able to attend. Therefore, it's the same with this one. So let's see, come Saturday, we'll definitely have a better sense of who is coming and who is there at that moment.
That's what was said about the tourism conference in KZN. But Sophie, look, I know you mentioned quite a few issues that will be dealt with, but you forgot xenophobia in Burundi. Are these going to pop up?
Well, when the Committee on Peace and Security table its report, these are the issues that are likely to come up during the debates. Because when you look at what transpired this year, these are the issues that kind of raised concerns in terms of the stability in the continent. Of course, South Africa stands ready to respond, and they have already interacted with many countries to explain the position of South Africa. South Africa is not a xenophobic country. South Africans are not xenophobic. This was a group of people who did that, and therefore you can't say all South Africans are xenophobic. And I guess when you are in South Africa, you have a better sense that it wasn't, of course, the entire country. When we were hosting the members of the Pan-African Parliament from the entire continent 2 weeks ago, this is the experience they got. I mean, before they came here, they were concerned that the issue of xenophobia, how is it going to affect them? But on arrival, they realized that it's business as usual. Every country has its challenges, and South Africa is not immune to these challenges. For an example, the issue of poverty and unemployment in the continent, the issues of wars in the continent, they impact on all of us. It is for that reason people will leave their countries and look for greener pastures, but also move out of their country to ensure that they get security in neighboring countries. It is for that reason today we have so many sisters and brothers from the continent, because people feel that South Africa can kind of help them in terms of sustaining themselves on job, on education, but also, you know, they can get security here. And we can't just chase them away, but we have to ensure that we have proper laws that ensure that when they are here, they are well documented and they also respect our laws. And then, I mean, you look at what's happening in the Mediterranean country, in the Mediterranean Sea right now, many Africans perishing. It's because they are trying to look for greener pastures in Europe. I would prefer my fellow Africans to come and look for greener pastures in countries in the continent rather than moving out of the continent.
Sophie, very quickly before I let you go, you have to address this. There always seems to be an issue when it comes to funding for the AU, especially when it comes to aiding the worst affected. Do you think this is going to come up? And also the establishment of the AU army?
Yes, the issue of funding will be discussed. And for an example, on Friday, there's a golf tournament to try and raise funds for the AU foundation, because our leaders have since realized that it's better for us to have a way to fund ourselves rather than relying on foreign donors, because then they dictate the agenda. Therefore, it's better if we are self-sustainable. And indeed, they will discuss that. And then the issue of the standby force, of course, it will be on the agenda. And regions have started. You recall that 2 months ago, SADC, we had ministers of defense in Victoria Falls, where they were outlining a program of action to ensure that we start with the region and therefore we move to the continent to contribute the force there.
Sophie, thank you so much. I'm sure you're going to keep us posted on everything that's going to be taking place at the summit.
Yes, of course, the SABC team will be there. We have started, and trust the SABC.
Well, I can't say more. That's our foreign editor, Ms. Sophie Mokoena, talking to us about the upcoming AU summit in Pretoria.